What's up guys, it's Connor here from Geek on Your Face, and here we are for episode 2 of my tips and tricks series that I was doing for you guys. And I kind of lied in the last video, said we're going to go into combos and stuff like that, but I may have jumped the gun a little bit because I remembered that even though I went over how many cards in total you should have in your deck, I never said, you know, the number of monsters, spells, and all that kind of stuff that actually fills your deck up. I never told you guys what you should be putting in there. Generally speaking, of course this is all generalized because there's so many different types of decks you can make, right? But for now, I brought up one of my kind of balanced decks. It's not super hyper aggressive and it's not super defensive either. It's nice and balanced. You can do a lot of things with it based on the cards you draw during your turn. That's why I think this deck's really good to go over here, because we can do a lot of stuff with it. But here you're going to see in your guys' top right hand corner of the screen, right under type of cards owned 6004, is going to list little colored squares and numbers in them. And what those mean: the first yellow one, that's going to be the amount of normal monsters. Second orangey one is the amount of effect monsters. The blue one is going to be ritual monsters. The purple one is going to be fusion monsters. And the white one is going to be synchro. Green one is going to be spells. The pink one, that's pink? Yeah, that's pink. That's going to be traps, and the gray one is going to be XYZ monsters. So you see, I have 19 effect monsters in this deck. Generally speaking, for a balanced deck that's not hyper aggressive or defensive, you're probably going to wind up with around 18 to like 21 monsters split between normal and effect, depending on what kind of deck you're going to go for. Sometimes normal monsters can be effective too. But generally you're going to wind up with around 18 to 21, 22 monsters. And then you're going to skip all the way down to spell cards, because you see all those other ones are zeros. I have 12 spell cards, which is pretty average as well. Like I said, this deck is pretty balanced. Then I have 9 trap cards. Now that's an important distinction to make, like between spell and trap cards. Most of the time you're going to see that you have less trap cards than spell cards in a deck, because trap cards are a little bit less reliable than spell cards that you play in your turn, simply because, as you guys are aware probably, if you've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for any amount of time, you can't activate a trap card the turn it was placed unless it has an effect directly canceling that out. So we're just going to go quickly here, check out some of the other recipes. You guys might see some that you're familiar with. Blackwing, 9 spell cards, 9 trap cards. Doesn't exactly follow the rule, but you'll see later on. 12, 13. This is a defensive deck, so you're going to probably see more trap cards in that kind of a deck. But here we go. This is where it's going to really start showing up. 15 spell cards, 5 trap cards. This is kind of a hyper offensive deck. But you'll notice I have more spell than trap cards. Let's go down to my troll deck that I use. Even though it's a troll deck, I still have 12 spell cards, 7 trap cards. Less trap cards than spell cards. Other burn deck. Trap cards are really effective for getting rid of the life points, so you're going to probably see more there. But another balanced deck that I have, Samurai deck. It's actually a more defensive deck, but I have more spell cards and trap cards. Raw deck, more spell cards and trap cards. Photon one that you're looking at, more spell than trap. Heroic, more spell than trap. E-Hero, spell, trap, more, and so on. For the most part, you guys are going to have more spell than trap cards, and that's something that I think is pretty helpful, because more often than not, spell cards could probably bail you out of situations more than trap cards could, unless you get a mirror force off your opponent or something. But that's just a really good distinction I wanted to make with you guys, that you probably should have more spell cards than trap cards. But anyway, we're going to go on to the XYZs I have in my deck. XYZs, new addition ever since Zexal came out. If you guys don't know how XYZs work, I could make a separate video on that if you want, but I'll just go over it really quickly. You use a number of monsters listed on the XYZ card that are the same star level, and basically you kind of like tribute those, but they stay on the field as materials. They're basically the materials, think of them as counters or something for whatever XYZ monster is on there. And XYZ monsters, you activate their effects by getting rid of the materials, which are the 2 or more monsters that you use to summon them, and they go in your graveyard after you've activated the effect. So you gotta really pick when you want to use your XYZ effects cautiously. But probably should be having at least a couple XYZs in almost any type of deck that you use, because XYZs are pretty overpowered, I would definitely say that they're one of the more powerful summons out of the fusion, synchro, and stuff ritual that you can do. They're pretty powerful. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to cover in this quick episode of the tips and tricks, showing you guys what numbers you should be looking for when you're constructing a deck. It could be different. If you're, for example, if you're doing a hyper offensive deck, you're probably going to wind up with more monsters than this. Probably, I would say, in the upwards of 24 monsters range around there, and you're going to have spell cards, like I said. More. It's hard to say when you don't know what kind of a deck you're obviously doing, right? I can't look at your guys' decks and tell you what to put in, but I would generally say that you're probably going to have more spell and trap cards, and that's pretty perfect right there when that happens. And then 20 monsters around there. That's basically how this video is going to come to a wrap. I definitely think we're going to be going into a game next time, and I'll be showing you guys how to order your deck, construct it so that you have combos that are going to really carry you through the duel, and we'll just get to that when it comes to it. I think the next episode is going to be going up on Sunday. I'm going to say Sunday. So yeah, look forward to that, and I will see you guys next time when we go over combos. Bye.